If we can fix that poverty mindset or opportunity, it will correlate with less crime. So I'm talking to these men and these women that are in prison and they're about to come out. And the 9.9 times out of 10, right? They don't have money. They didn't have an opportunity. So they had to figure something out. So me being able to teach them how to fix their credit, and they can open a bank account while they're in prison because they can do it online. I'm showing them how to fix their credit because fortunately, but unfortunately, they have time, right, to do that while they're in there. So they're fixing it. So when they're coming out of prison, I have positioned these people to help them have $10,000 to $20,000 in capital on credit cards, of course, so that they can invest in themselves. And they're in there and they already learned a skill, whether it's real estate, whether it's stock. So when they get out, they're focusing on that.
So that's it. I heard a quote from a client on a call a couple days ago. It was from Nick Saban. It was, there are two types of pain and you get to choose which one you have. You can either have the pain from discipline or the pain from not having discipline. And consider that, so I love your message. I love an accountable message. Was there ever a moment for you, Herman, when you had to look yourself in the mirror and say, I've not been accountable and I've got to be? Did you ever have an epiphany moment like that on the business rise when you were doing all this?
1,000%. And it happened when my wife got pregnant and I was making $50,000 a year after taxes. I think I was taking home 37,000. And this is for me. This is not for everybody. But I had to hold myself accountable that I took this woman from her father's house and I impregnated her. And I have to take care of these people because it's my responsibility. And I had to do that with $37,000. And I was like, this isn't it. Especially if we wanted to have more children. Yeah. So I had to figure out, and that usually happens when you become a father and a husband, like there's something that turns on. Yeah. I had to figure out how to take care of these two women primarily. Now it's three women primarily. And it just put a battery in my back and I had to figure out. So I didn't have the luxury of making excuses. I didn't have the luxury of pointing fingers. I didn't have that. I had to look into myself. Now we all have, obstacles that make success difficult. We all do. Whether you're a man or woman, race, color, socioeconomical, your background, we all have these obstacles. We all do. No one is exempt. Right. But I still have to take accountability. I still have to figure out what I can do because I have seen too many successful people in front of my eyes for me not to say, well, I can do that too. They don't have a superpower. I can do that too. Now, it probably took them 2 years to do it. If it takes me 5 years, it takes me 10 years. And that's what it's going to take because I took this woman from her father's house. I said, we're going to have children. Then I got to step up to the plate and be accountable. And I got to be up late. I got to miss those nights. And going back to our wives, she understood that. And I was like, babe, please be patient with me. I promise you, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to figure this out. And thank God I figured it out. We have an amazing brand and I'm able to take care of my family, take them all over the world. I was able to retire my mother. And those are the riches in my life. When people ask me, how rich are you? I was like, oh, that doesn't really matter. I was able to retire my mom and my dad was in hospice in my house. So he had staff in the house and I was able to pay for staff and the oxygen machine. And I was like, well, how much does it cost? That means more to me than anything else in the world. And my business helped me do that.
Heck yeah, man. I honor you for that. That's a beautiful story. And, man, so many different places I want to dig. I'll go back in time before we get to this. Let's go back in time 1 second. You said that you teach financial literacy at prisons. How did you get involved in that? Why is that on your radar right now, Herman?
Well, again, a lot of this is my passion, right? So when my thesis, when I was doing my master's degrees, was the correlations between violence and economics, right? So I did a study in the Philadelphia area, and I made the correlation. I was like, listen, where there's poverty, there's an increase in crime, right? Obviously, right? There's an increase in crime. So I was like, if we can fix that poverty mindset or opportunity, it will correlate with less crime. So what I did was when I wrote the paper, got a good grade on it. My dad always wanted me to continue to go get my PhD. I was like, there's no way that's happening. The master's degree kicked my butt. I never want to write like that again. But so now when the opportunity came to me, because I have a lot of amazing people that come to me, there's like, hey, I have a great opportunity to talk in the prisons. And now you can do it online. So, and I used to be a social worker, so I used to have to go see my clients sometime in prison. But so it's part of my history. So I'm talking to these men and these women that are in prison, and they're about to come out. And the 9.9 times out of 10, right? They don't have money. They didn't have an opportunity. So they had to figure something out. So me being able to teach them how to fix their credit, and they can open a bank account while they're in prison because they can do it online. I'm showing them how to fix their credit because fortunately, but unfortunately, they have time, right, to do that while they're in there. So they're fixing it. So when they're coming out of prison, I have positioned these people to help them have $10,000 to $20,000 in capital on credit cards, of course, so that they can invest in themselves. And they're in there and they already learned a skill, whether it's real estate, whether it's stock. So when they get out, they're focusing on that, auditing their circle, because that's another tag of mine, because you have to separate yourself, audit your circle. And now they have the time, they have the knowledge, and they have the money to better themselves, to become better citizens in this society. And now with that information that they have, guess what they're going to do? They're going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their family, they're going to deposit that into their children also. And they have an amazing story. Listen, I was in prison. I did 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Now I have a business. I'm making money. Because here's the other thing. When you have a record, it's hard for you to get a job.
Yeah.
So they almost have to have this skill of understanding money and financial literacy in order for them to survive. So I feel that I'm doing my part to help people not go back to prison by giving them financial literacy.
So many positive, resounding things are coming from this. So yeah, thank you. That's pretty cool.